Okay, let's play a quick word association game to kick things off. If I say Anaheim, what is the very first image that pops into your head?
It's got to be the mouse, right? The castle, the fireworks, the ears.
Exactly. That's the global brand. Or maybe if you're a sports fan, you think of the Angels or the Ducks. But if you actually zoom out, like look at the satellite view of the city and just watch the traffic patterns, Anaheim is this massive pulsating engine of movement. It is uh, a logistical beast.
It really is. It's not just a tourist destination. You have the convention center churning through, tens of thousands of attendees. You have high stakes corporate mergers happening in hotel boardrooms, massive events at the Honda Center. It is a hub of high stakes movement.
And honestly, when you have that much movement, specifically high stakes movement where timing is everything, the friction points get really expensive really fast.
Absolutely. Being late to a ride at a theme park is, annoying. Being late to a keynote speech because your ride didn't show up,
That's a different
it's
problem.
a career problem.
And that brings us to today's deep dive. We are looking at a document that seems kind of simple on the surface. It's titled The Anaheim Luxury Transportation Fleet Selection Guide. But as I was reading it, I realized this isn't about picking a car with nice leather seats. It's not a brochure.
No, not at all. It reads more like a manifesto on
It
logistics.
really does. It's about the invisible infrastructure that keeps that city moving. We're going to decode how a professional fleet actually operates, why the Uber mindset usually fails in this specific sector, and how to verify if a company is the real deal or just a website with some stock photos.
It's really about understanding the difference between transportation and logistics. One is just getting from A to B. The other is ensuring the variable of how doesn't, completely ruin your day.
So let's start with the definition. The guide opens with a bit of a challenge to the reader. It claims that a luxury fleet is not defined by polished exteriors, which, I have to admit, sounds a bit like marketing spin at first. If I'm paying for luxury, I want the polish. I want the shine.
You want the polish, sure, but the polish is the baseline. It's table stakes. If the car isn't clean, you shouldn't even be getting in it. But the guide introduces this concept of the four pillars of quality, and it argues that if you only look at the paint job, you're missing the actual indicators of reliability.
Right, it's about what's under the hood, metaphorically and, well, literally. Walk us through these pillars.
So the guide breaks it down into vehicle condition, variety, safety standards, and this is the big one that people overlook, the ability to match the vehicle to the occasion.
That last one, matching the vehicle to the occasion, it seems obvious, though. Don't you just book the car that fits the number of people you have? If I have 3 people, I get a sedan. If I have 6, I get an SUV.
You'd think it's that simple. But the guide implies that a one-size-fits-all approach is the death knell of professional service. Think about it. You have a CEO flying in to sign a merger. It's a somber, serious, high-pressure moment. If you roll up in a stretched limousine,
It looks like they're going to prom.
exactly, it's the wrong signal. It's technically luxury, it's expensive, it has lights, it has a bar, but it's a failure of logistics. It's a failure of context.
It's awkward.
It's deeply awkward. The guide emphasizes that true luxury is about precision. It's about having a fleet diverse enough that you aren't forcing a square peg into a round hole just because that's the only car you have on the lot that day.
This leads into the concept of consistency that they mention repeatedly. And I think this is where the comparison to the gig economy, Uber, Lyft, the apps we all use, really starts to break down.
Right. When you book a rideshare, let's be honest, you are playing Russian roulette. You might get a brand new Camry with a great driver, or you might get a 10-year-old hatchback that kind of smells like fast food and has a rattle in the suspension.
And I think we've all had that ride. You're in the back seat just praying you get there.
Exactly. And in a casual setting, that's fine. But the consistency pillar here argues that the interior of the Sprinter van must meet the exact same maintenance benchmark and cleanliness standard as the executive sedan.
It's the idea of uniform standards. The client shouldn't have to worry if they are getting the good car or the backup car. In a professional fleet, the guide argues every car has to be the good car.
That's the promise. But achieving that is incredibly difficult because cars age. Entropy is real. Things break.
So how do they actually achieve that? Because the guide has this phrase that I circled, replace aging vehicles proactively.
That is a very expensive sentence.
That sounds like a CFO's nightmare.
It is, but it's cheaper than the alternative in this business. In the consumer world, we drive a car until the wheels fall off. We fix it when the check engine light turns red. A professional fleet like Limo Service Anaheim operates on a different math. They replace the vehicle before it shows wear.
So they aren't waiting for the breakdown.
No, they are trying to eliminate the variable of mechanical failure before the client is even aware it's a possibility. I mean, if a car breaks down with a bride in the back or an executive on the way to a keynote, you can't just say, oops, we'll send another one in 20 minutes. The moment is gone. The damage is done.
That's the invisible work we touched on earlier. If they do their job right, you never notice the maintenance. You just assume the car is perfect. But that perfection is the result of obsessive inspection and rotation schedules.
Precisely. It's proactive, not reactive.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. Proactive, consistent, precise. Now I want to get into the hardware, because the guide breaks the fleet down into a hierarchy. And it's not just small, medium, large. It's really distinct use cases.
It's all about the mission profile.
Let's start with what they call the executive choice, the luxury sedans.
I like to call these the scalpels of the fleet.
Scalpels.
Yeah, sharp, precise, effective. The guide links these to executive travel, airport transfers, private appointments.
Why is the sedan still king here? Why hasn't the SUV taken over completely? I feel like everyone drives an SUV now.
It's about the optics and the psychology. The guide notes these are for travelers who prioritize punctuality and quiet interiors. There is a psychology to the sedan. It's discreet. It sits lower to the ground. It feels grounded. It doesn't scream, look at me.
And quiet is a feature we probably undervalue until we need it.
Hugely. If you've just come off a 6-hour flight into LAX or John Wayne, your brain is fried. You don't want flash. You don't want to climb up into a massive truck. You want a sanctuary. The sedan offers that professional appearance. It signals, I am here to work. It's a decompression chamber.
I love that, a decompression chamber.
Yeah.
But then we have the luxury SUVs. The guide calls this category space meets refinement. Now, I see Suburbans everywhere in Anaheim. Is this just for people who have too much luggage?
That's the functional part of it, sure. But the guide points out a crucial business use case, maintaining consistency across business meetings.
Unpack that for me.
Yeah.
What does consistency have to do with an SUV?
Let's say you have a team of 4 executives. You could squeeze them into a sedan, technically. 3 in the back, 1 next to the driver, but now they're shoulder to shoulder. Knees touching.
Nobody wants to sit in the middle seat in the suit.
Exactly. It's uncomfortable. It breaks the luxury promise. It feels like a clown car.
Or you put them in a bus, and it feels impersonal.
Right. The SUV hits that sweet spot. It allows the team to travel together, continue their meeting in the car, have ample legroom and climate-controlled comfort, but still arrive with that executive presence. It's the mobile boardroom for the small team.
So it's about keeping the unit together without sacrificing dignity.
Perfect way to put it.
Okay, so sedans and SUVs are the serious business tier. But then the guide shifts gears completely. We get to stretch limousines, and the language changes. It stops talking about efficiency and starts talking about the celebration.
Yes, the shift in purpose is stark. This is where we move from logistics to theater.
Theater?
Think about it. The guide says the stretch limo emphasizes style and group experience. Weddings, proms, anniversaries. The vehicle is designed to be looked at, not just to look out of. It creates a
It
scene.
mentions premium seating, lighting, entertainment systems.
But look at the service note attached to this section. It specifically highlights professional chauffeur service, ensuring coordinated arrivals and departures.
Why emphasize that for the limo and not the sedan? I assume the sedan driver is also professional.
They are, but the job description changes. For a wedding or a prom, the arrival is the event. You aren't just parking, you are staging an entrance. The driver isn't just navigating traffic, they are acting as a stage manager. Timing the door opening, managing the train of a wedding dress, dealing with the red carpet moment, managing excited teenagers.
That is a completely different skill set than getting a grumpy executive to a meeting on time.
It's critical. If the driver misses the cue at a wedding, it ruins the photo. That's high stakes in a completely different way.
That's a fascinating distinction. I never thought about the driver as a stage manager.
It's part of the package.
Now, there is one more vehicle class in the hierarchy that feels like it's taking over the world lately. The Sprinter van. The guide calls it an essential part of modern luxury fleets.
The Swiss Army knife.
It's the bridge between the limo and the bus.
Exactly. And honestly, for corporate clients in Anaheim, especially with the convention center right there, this is the MVP. This is the vehicle that solves the hardest problems.
The guide lists corporate teams and group airport transfers as the main use cases.
Yeah.
But it also mentions multi-stop itineraries.
That's the key. Imagine a sales team doing a roadshow. They need to visit 3 different supplier HQs in Anaheim in one day.
Okay.
Now, try to coordinate 3 Ubers for 6 or 7 people 3 different times. You're waiting on curbs. People get separated into different cars. One car gets lost. The team gets fragmented.
It's a logistical nightmare. You spend half your day just staring at your phone waiting for a driver.
Total chaos. The Sprinter acts as a mobile base of operations. You have the headroom of a bus so you can stand up and move around, but the footprint is small enough to navigate city streets better than a massive coach. The team piles in, debriefs on the way to the next stop, maybe preps the presentation on a laptop. It keeps the unit cohesive.
It really is a mobile office.
It allows the work to continue between the stops. That's the value add.
So we have the hardware sedans, SUVs, limos, sprinters, and we have the philosophy, maintenance, and consistency. But I want to pivot to the consumer side, because here's the problem. Anyone can put up a website and say, we have all these cars.
Ah, the broker problem?
Is that what it is?
Oh, it's rampant in this industry. You have companies that are essentially just a guy with a laptop and a phone, maybe sitting in a completely different state. They don't own a single car. They take your booking, take your money, and then farm it out to the lowest bidder in the area.
So they're just middlemen.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you book with a broker, you have 0 guarantee of quality. They haven't inspected the car, they don't know the driver, they just sold the lead.
So how do you know? The guide talks about due diligence. It mentions Yelp and Facebook, which are fine, but it also mentions something very specific, verifying business listings and location details via MapQuest and Google Maps.
This is my favorite tip in the whole document. It's so simple, but so effective.
It lists a specific address for limo service Anaheim, 519S Resch St. Anaheim. Why does printing the address matter so much?
Because you can Google Street View it.
Ah, the satellite test.
Exactly. If you type in that address, 519S Resch Street, and you zoom in, what do you see? If you see a parking lot full of limos, a maintenance bay, a physical office, a wash rack, that is a real fleet operator.
And if you see residential house?
Or a P.O. box store, or a vacant lot, then you are dealing with a broker. By listing 519S Resch Street, Limo Service Anaheim is anchoring their digital claim to a physical reality. They are saying, our cars live here, we maintain them here, we exist here.
That is a pro tip. If you can't find where the cars sleep, don't book the ride.
100%. It's the only way to verify you are dealing with the source.
Speaking of booking, the guide has some strong opinions on strategy. It says advanced booking isn't just about guaranteeing you get a ride. It says it allows the provider to assign the best vehicle for the occasion.
This goes back to the Tetris game of fleet management.
Explain that. Why does my timing matter to their internal Tetris?
If you call 2 hours before you need a ride, you get whatever key is hanging on the hook. It might be the older model, it might be slightly larger or smaller than you wanted. It might be a driver who usually does weddings doing an airport run.
You get the leftovers.
Right. But if you book 2 weeks in advance, the fleet manager looks at your profile. Okay. 4 executives, golf clubs, heading to Pelican Hill. They can tag the specific SUV with the best cargo configuration. They can assign the driver who knows that route best and knows where the golf bag drop is.
So you aren't just buying the ride. You are buying their planning time.
You are enabling them to curate the friction out of the experience. The guide specifically mentions this is critical during peak seasons when those big conventions hit Anaheim.
Right, when NAM is in town or a huge medical conference, the city is full.
The fleet is strained. If you wait until the last minute during a convention week, you are gambling with logistics. And as we said at the start, luxury is the absence of gambling.
And they mention using Book Now pages to input details digitally. I assume that's to prevent the game of telephone errors.
It creates a paper trail, flight numbers, passenger counts, luggage needs. If it's in the system, the chauffeur sees it on their tablet. It removes the he said, she said. It's all about data integrity.
It's funny looking back at this guide. We often think of luxury as excess. You know, champagne, red carpets, long cars, gold plating. But everything we've discussed, preventative maintenance, verifying physical addresses, booking lead times, it's all incredibly practical.
It's boringly practical, and that's the secret.
Competence as the ultimate luxury.
Think about your own travel. What is the best travel experience you've ever had?
Honestly, Probably one where nothing happened.
Exactly. No delays, no confusion, no dirty seats, no awkward conversations, no worrying if your bag will fit. The ultimate luxury is when the logistics become invisible, when the car is just there and it's perfect, and you don't even have to think about how it got there or who changed the oil.
It's the absence of stress.
The absence of friction, that is what you are paying for.
So let's wrap this up with a little recap for our listener who might be headed to Anaheim soon, maybe for a convention or a big family trip. You are looking at the fleet options. What is the checklist?
First, define the mission. Don't pick the car that looks cool. Pick the tool for the job. Solo executive. Sedan for privacy. Team, SUV, or Sprinter for collaboration. Party. Limo for the theater.
Second,
Verify the provider. Be cynical. Check the map. Look for the physical footprint. Make sure they are an operator, not a middleman.
and third,
Book early. Give them the time to do the invisible work for you. Don't treat a luxury fleet like a taxi service, or you'll get taxi-level results.
I think that concept of invisible work is going to stick with me. Next time I see a black car at the airport, I'm not just going to look at the brand badge. I'm going to be wondering about the maintenance logs and the logistics engine behind it.
And that is the right question to ask, because the shiny paint can hide a lot of mechanical neglect if the operator isn't following these standards.
So here is the question for you to mull over next time you book a trip, whether it's in Anaheim or anywhere else. Is your current travel strategy focused purely on the destination, or are you ignoring the quality of the journey itself? Because as we learned today, true luxury in transportation isn't about what you see, it's about the systems you don't see that make the journey effortless.
If you notice the logistics, they've failed. If you don't notice anything but the comfort, they've succeeded.
That's it for today's deep dive. Safe travels, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.